Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Dai, and today I am bringing you my thoughts on the manga series Waiting for Spring. This is a 14-volume manga series that was published by Kodansha and is rated teen. In this story, we follow Mitsuki, who wants to make a change in her life, and so since she is going to be entering high school, this is the perfect time to do that. She decides to go to a high school that is kind of away from where she lives. She also has a part-time job at a cafe. Part of the reason why Mitsuki wants to go to a high school away from where she lives is because she wants to make friends. She's found making friends difficult, and so with going away and kind of reinventing herself, she really wants to try to make some lasting friendships while she's in high school. What she doesn't expect is that some of the first friends she will make will be four of the most popular boys on the basketball team, as they unexpectedly become regulars at the cafe that she works at. So this story follows her making friends with them, some of the conflicts those friendships bring into her life, as well as exploring maybe a little bit of romance along the way. As this is a series thoughts video, I will be talking about my thoughts on the series as a whole. I am going to try to be as general as possible as to not bring spoilers into this video, but just know that I will be talking about the entire series and my thoughts on it. So I did read this first volume very close to when it first came out. I read it digitally on Kindle Unlimited. Just so you know, at the time of recording this video, about 7 of these volumes are available on Kindle Unlimited. So it's a great way for you to try out this series if it sounds like something that you're going to be interested in. But I did read this first volume on Kindle Unlimited, and I knew right after finishing the volume that this was definitely going to be one that I wanted to collect, and so I did indeed do that. I read this first volume again, as it was a selection for my In Real Life manga club, which has been on hiatus, but we are going to be bringing that back very soon, so I'm super excited about that. But I did read this volume again for that discussion, and I found that I enjoyed it as much, if not more, than when I read it the first time. By then, I had already started to collect the series physically, and so when I did finally get around to reading this series through, I had to read the first volume again. So I did read this volume 3 times, but being that I read it 3 times, I never once did browse or skim, which I think is a good sign. And so I was super excited to finally get further into this series once I started this read through. Of course, I have to say that part of the thing that drew me to this series was the art. The art is kind of soft but still clean. You'll see as I show you the rest of the manga volumes, and I just love the colors that went into the covers of this series. They're just so bright and happy and very spring-like, which of course is appropriate for this series and the title. As I show you these volumes, you're definitely going to be able to see most of the characters that are kind of main to this story, and I definitely enjoyed spending time not only with Mitsuki, but the characters that you're going to see on these covers, as well as a couple others that you're not going to see. While we do get a lot of time with Mitsuki, we also get a lot of time with these guys. And we not only see the guys talk to each other about their feelings, just not in the love department, but feelings about upcoming games and things that they want to accomplish. They do also talk about their girl issues, but it's nice to see them just talk about their feelings about things. Of course, as Mitsuki's friendship grows with these guys, she also becomes more comfortable with them to the point where she actually ends up going to the guys individually and talking things over to them, and they tell her, you can come talk to me about things if you need to. And I thought that was really great. They definitely support her a lot throughout this series, and she reciprocates and supports them at their games. We do get a lot of basketball play in this series, which I thought was really great. If I had to think of two stories that I would compare this to, it would be a little bit of Boys Over Flowers with a little bit of Kuroko's basketball. Now, I haven't read either of those two manga series, but I have watched many adaptations of Boys Over Flowers, and I have watched the anime adaptation of Kuroko's basketball about 3 or 4 times, so I'm pretty familiar with both of those stories, and it definitely, to me, feels a little bit like those two, because, of course, Boys Over Flowers has the F4, and this series has the 4. I can't remember what the mangaka called them, but they're basically the F4 of the basketball team in this series. The Boys Over Flowers feeling I get because it essentially evolves around Mitsuki and her relationship with these 4 guys, and how the 4 guys, take care of her. They kind of become protective. This isn't a reverse harem story in the way that all 4 guys fall for Mitsuki. That's not how this goes, but they definitely genuinely care about her feelings, the things she's going through, and things like that. And I really loved seeing the way they all interacted with each other. There is a love triangle in this series, and if you follow me for a while, you know that I don't enjoy that type of trope. However, in this series, I didn't mind it so much. There is another character that comes in from a rival school, a rival basketball team, and even though I definitely knew which of the 2 guys I was rooting for, I would have to say that I wouldn't have been disappointed if she ended up with the other. The things that normally bother me about love triangles didn't bother me so much in this story. And I found the kind of rival situation with the basketball to be very engaging, and not only was I kind of rooting for the one love interest, but I was also rooting for the basketball team when they were showing their games and they were playing through to inter-high. What I also really enjoyed about this series is that we not only see Mitsuki learn to make friends and have lasting connections to people, but we also see her grow as a person. She definitely picks up some things in school that she wouldn't have picked up had she not, I think, met these guys and made the friends that she did. She does make other friends besides the guys. She makes some female friends as well. And she kind of breaks out of her shell and definitely, I think, achieves the growth that she was looking for by going to this high school. I think this series does a great job not only exploring our main character Mitsuki, but we also get a lot of time with each of the guys. We see what's going on in their life. We see how they met. And I found that to be very interesting. It gave a depth to this story that really made you connect with each of these characters. There's even some revelations between the guys later on in this series about some things that the guys never even knew about each other while they were growing up. And of course, seeing all of those scenes with the guys when they were kids, not only the guys, but we also see Mitsuki as a kid as well. They're all just so adorable. I'm sure you have heard other people say that the main story ends in this volume, volume 13, and while it kind of does, I did not feel complete after this volume. Even the mangaka says in their author note that the main story ends in this volume, but I think without the events of the 14th volume, it really doesn't give me that sense of completion that I like to feel when I end a series. This 14th volume includes epilogues for several of the characters that we meet along the way, as well as mini comics that were published alongside the chapters when it was published in the magazine. And the mini comics give you a sense of where those stories fall in between the volumes. So it also gives you a rereadability for this series, because you kind of want to go back and read through this series and insert those mini comics as they come up. I can definitely tell you that I will be rereading this series and reading the mini comics along the way, because as I was reading through the mini comics, it definitely was a little confusing, even though it tells you between which volumes the mini comics fall under. Because you've gone through this journey with these characters, you kind of, or at least I kind of had trouble going back to the beginning and experiencing those mini comics where they should have gone. So I'm excited to revisit this series. I will give it a little bit of time in between, but I am super excited to revisit this series and read it with these mini comics in between the volumes that they were supposed to be in. These epilogues definitely gave me the closure that I needed for a lot of the prominent characters in this series. There was one main character where we don't get an epilogue for, which I was kind of disappointed about. There was another epilogue for another of the prominent characters that I feel like that character should have gotten a little bit more. But that being said, I am very happy with how everything ended up for the characters that do have epilogues. And we do end up seeing all of the prominent characters in this last volume. So I really do recommend reading through volume 14 and not stopping the series at volume 13. For me, this definitely continues with this series. It definitely continues the storyline of several of the characters that we love in this series. And I do think it's an essential volume to the story. So that concludes my thoughts on these series. Let me know down in the comments below if you've read this series and what you think of it, or if you think you will be interested in reading this series now that you've heard a little bit more about it. If nothing else, if you could leave me a basketball emoji down in the comments below, or the word basketball, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out. And that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.